I can count to nine matches on the women's side. Fox Soccer Plus has activity starting at 11 for the league that I don't care about and I'm not going to promote. Golasso has Sporting and Atalanta at 12:45, Villarreal and Rennes at 3. Paramount Plus has all the Conference League and all the Europa League action. SEC Plus has 7 matches on the women's side. VIX has all the Europa and Europa Conference League stuff. Catch your breath. Just watch Paramount Plus. Just watch Golasso Network. That way you're not having to watch 32 matches simultaneously. Because, now that we've caught our breath, it is time to bring in, because it is 10:35 and we have a half hour left in the show. We go to Seattle, and he's got the Rave Green out. Is this cup number 1, Niko, or cup number 2?
This is cup number 2. It's been I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. I might have gotten. I'm still up with a 2-hour break since last night. I took a 2-hour nap. Was back up, watching a couple of games from last night. It's been interesting. I had to watch Atlanta. I had to make sure to watch the Vancouver-St. Louis game. So between getting home real late after the Sounders game, watching a couple of MLS games, got a quick cat nap for about 2 hours, and then I was right back up. So this is cup number 2.
Okay. It is Thursdays with Niko. When Niko comes in with the Pacific perspective on everything, and I know that he's probably going to have a cat nap in his future after talking to us and doing stuff with Soccer Bar and Pulso Sports. But, all right, we spent the first hour of the show going berserk over handball, what's a handball, what's not a handball, Alex Chilowitz, 3 handballs. We played the Gonzalo Pineda. We played legitimately. We played half the Gonzalo Pineda press conference from last night. 6.5 minutes.
Woo.
And that's it. 6.5 minutes. That's it. We played half of it, and we played that in hour number 1. And we firmly anticipate that because of his fired up nature there in the press conference, that he probably will be getting an envelope from the league office, Federal Express. Then it will be there either Delta dashed late this afternoon, or it'll be there first thing in the morning, expressing the league's displeasure over his comments. So now that you've had a nap, what do you think?
I think his anger is understandable. I think it's reasonable. When I've been on your show before, and anytime that we speak and we talk about refereeing and their mistakes, because that's just what happens in the game. All those of you who thought that with VAR, those were things of the past, just were not really realistic about what it takes for a referee to get it right. And quite honestly, sometimes it goes beyond the video refereeing is the referee's ultimate decision. And sometimes I think that goes along with ego and a whole bunch of other things that I think continue to make the game have moments like last night, right? I do believe that Atlanta was affected by not getting that first handball, and you could see it in the play of Atlanta after that first missed call on what was clearly a handball. And we don't have to go through the video or check it out, right? But it's obvious that it's out of the silhouette. You are making yourself bigger. For me, it's a clear call. And after that, Atlanta just seems to get out of their own game, and eventually leads to Philadelphia first goal. Now, with that said, I think that it goes back to players also just staying on for 90 minutes. Lennon cannot be arguing with the ref when there's going to be a quick free kick taken and they get caught off guard. That type of lack of awareness or lack of concentration costs you goals like that. Yeah. So although I do believe the refereeing was a factor in that terrible first half for Atlanta, I think that we always talk about you have to make a difference in the game so that mistakes like that don't define your result. So I get his frustration. I'm sure that he's going to get an envelope from the league. But at the end of the day, although I understand his frustration, I think that it does go back to making sure that your guys stay on, that you guys finish chances, that you guys continue to do the assignment regardless of what's going on. And I think Gonzalo's going to have a good talk about it. I think it's a learning experience for this team right before the playoffs. I thought they could have tied this game. I thought they could have won it. So quite honestly, I think it's a good learning lesson for what could be a matchup in the playoffs for this Atlanta team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, you look at instances, and I know that there's also been focus from some of the folks in our conversation on the Twitch pitch about that 3 goals in 8 minutes, and the discussion with the first goal on the quick restart was, it looked like where Alex Chilowitz was reaching for the magic spray as they went for the quick restart. And so that wasn't a start and all these kinds of things. So there are points of concern that have been brought up by Atlanta fans. And when you have that avalanche that we seem to see with Philly, when Philly can jump on you, and then they jump on you, get a margin, and then they have to hang on. There's stuff that you can take from both sides of this, in addition to everything that we were discussing with Chilowitz and stuff. So there's stuff that Atlanta United fans are looking at here, both about being aggrieved and about stuff that's concerned. Philadelphia fans that are here this morning, they've got concerns as well. So I mean, it's an interesting dichotomy this morning with all of the moving parts from this match.
Yeah, I still like Atlanta better than Philadelphia, to be quite honest. And I know that people might think I'm insane because on paper and their trajectory, what they've done in the past, it's most people might think that Philadelphia is one of the top contenders in the East, but I don't believe it. I've had so many issues with this Philadelphia team just being at that moment and then falling apart, whether it is in an international tournament or in domestic play. In Atlanta, I feel like they have goals for days. I think, again, the discipline and the mentality has to be different for a game like this one. And that quick restart, you need to have a leader on the field, a guy that just has that experience and is going to go on top of the ball and is going to put his foot on it, and he ain't going to move that foot until these guys are ready. I don't care if the referee's whistling the ball onto play. I'll take the yellow, but you got to have somebody that's not going to allow that quick restart and just stay on, right? But I bought all the Atlanta stocks that I could find, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not selling.
All right. We do have a question from our buddy Bart Keeler, who is one of the other hosts on the network. He deals with national team stuff, and he's our center ref. We call the Reffing Down Here segment that we bring in on Wednesdays, where we go over rules of the game and such. He says, how do you feel 1 week post brand refresh there in Seattle? What do you think?
I feel good. I think that people are starting to get used to the new rebrand. They're starting to get used to the new shield. I was very clear about what were the good things about the new crest and what could have been done a little bit better. Oh, there you go. Very nice. Yes. I love the Orca. I love all the different components that the new rebrand has. And it's very adjustable and very new century. Their whole point in the demographic that they were trying to hit was the younger generation, was the next generation. They talked about, we want a crest that's going to be able to be used in the back of a phone and in the background of your laptop or whatever. Right. And I think all the little things that they did are in that route, and I think it was well done. I got a scarf as well. I got a video. I got a scarf from Sounders FC that was pretty cool, and I like the colors. I like the way they've done it, so I feel pretty good. Now, the play has not been as positive as the rebrand, but we'll talk about that a little later.
Right on. Last night, since the beauty of the midweek, we can kind of stare at some stuff. And last night's results, and obviously we'll get into yellow light, red light, green light in just a little bit. But last night, Charlotte put up a number on Toronto. Everybody does. Cincinnati rotated, Red Bulls won. Montreal and Houston draw. Columbus beats New England. I think that you and I share the assessment that New England's got bigger issues going on, and they kind of worked their way now into the worst time of the season for the Revs. And then we talk about Philly. Austin got a big win last night. They really needed it. Chicago in front of 61,000 who were looking for Messi and friends. Oh, let me ask you this, since we're on Chicago and Miami. What did you think about what Chicago decided to do? It's like, well, if you come, we'd love to have you. If you show up, you can get $250 off of your season ticket to pledge for next year, or $50, if you want to come back for a game, and you've got to have more than like one person. What did you think about them basically saying, yeah, if you come, then, we will reward you for coming? What did you think about that? What Chicago tried to do in a PR sense?
I think it was great because they need that. It's crazy to me after going to the city of Chicago and kind of seeing where the stadium is, but it's just kind of tough to get there. And it's a beautiful city, and they have so much history, but the fan base doesn't really support the team the way they used to, and they've had so many issues getting people there. So I think in love and war, all is fair, and you need to try to spark that in any way possible. And I thought it was creative and probably successful. I haven't really looked at the numbers on attendance, and I don't remember looking exactly at the stands while watching that game last night, but I think it's great. Anytime that you're trying to create more people to come, whether it is doing things like this, it's always a positive.
News for Atlanta United fans and for Inter Miami fans. Argentina has called up Thiago Almada and Lionel Messi for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. Dallas and Colorado, that's got more impact for Dallas than it does Colorado. The match was postponed because of the weather currently going on in the Southwest. Orlando got 1 goal. That's all they needed, winning against Nashville. Why is Adrian, he's still employed?
We mean, you've talked about this plenty of times. He's got to have dirt on the owner. No, I'm kidding. Yes, I am kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not sure. I think Adrian, there's good things about him, and there's a lot of bad things about him. If you put it on a scale, I think that it would go more towards the cons than the pros, but the franchise gave him the keys to the kingdom, and they just won't take it away. So we'll talk a little bit more about Minnesota when we get to red light, green light, yellow light, but definitely a sham yesterday. Just terrible.
5-1, LAFC gets the win. Seattle got a 2-1 win over LAG. What'd you take out of that one?
Well, man, that was not a brilliant game for Seattle. It was a little bit frustrating for the fan base. I didn't want to ask certain questions yesterday because the story should be that Seattle clinched to the playoffs, that Christian Roldan, after battling all kinds of protocols and injuries throughout the whole season, gets a goal in a critical moment necessary for not just the points and clinching the playoffs, but momentum. That's what you got to try to create, is momentum. But speaking of momentum, I didn't think the play was great. It was sloppy. It was up and down. If there's been a common denominator that has followed this team on a negative aspect, is that they can manage leads and they can manage games, and the intensity goes up and down like a roller coaster. You start off great, right? Papa Jordan Morris, right? New daddy comes in, scores a beautiful goal. JP having that ability to get the ball back and then look up, put a perfect service into the box, and then Jordan's whipping header was great, right? You start off so good. Intensity is high. You're creating opportunities. And then after 15, 20 minutes, that all just died down and you started playing to the LA Galaxy's tempo. You get pinned back. You allow them to get more possession. So I thought that all in all, the team just needs to figure out a way to stay on for 90 minutes. Then you come in the second half, and the Seattle Sounders came out like they were still in the locker room, and you allow the guys to continue to push. I was doing the call in Spanish with the guys from El Rey 1360, and I said it. I was like, look, LA Galaxy is getting behind the center backs constantly. Nobody's watching Fagundes. Nobody's watching Douglas Costa. I think something's coming, and 2-3 minutes later, here comes Douglas Costa. He gets a through ball. There's no communication in between the back line, and they get that 1-1. So, yes, the Sounders get the win. It was dramatic. It was great to see Christian Roldan get that goal. Props to Brand Smetzer on the substitutions, bringing in Niko, bringing in Reed Baker-Whiting, and obviously Atencio, who gets that pass to keep the ball alive that eventually fell to the feet of Christian Roldan. And obviously, credit to Christian Roldan for putting it away. But in the big picture, Seattle needs to do a lot better. They get the win, but there's a lot to be done before the playoffs, and they're going to have to do it this Saturday because Vancouver is a team that's on a mission, and they might give them some problems.
Yeah, Vancouver, they were the last game on the board. They knocked off all Caps by the final of 3-0, and so big win for Vancouver, which now means that we actually have folks who've clinched playoff berths in the Western Conference. Seattle, LAFC, RSL, Vancouver, Houston, all in. 5 teams clinched last night, but that doesn't mean that we don't know where they're going to finish. We just know that they're in. We just don't know where. So right now in the West, after last night, Seattle's second, 7 points back, 2 matches to go. St. Louis has clinched the number 1, so they'll probably rotate out, at least on a decision day. Seattle's at 49 points. LAFC's at 48. RSL's at 46. Vancouver is also at 46, but they are 1 less win. Houston, 45. Portland, 43. Zombie Timbers, right now at the 7 spot, 43 points. San Jose at 42. Dallas, you got to figure out when you're going to make up that game, and it might be a situation like we've seen with the home and home with Messi and friends in Charlotte where they take the international window and do it there. That's your playoff bar. Austin at 38, 2 matches to go. Kansas City, 38, 2 matches to go. 2 goals behind in goal difference. We have to go to the second tiebreaker. Minnesota, 1 less win, 38 points. LAFC's LAG is at 35. Colorado, wooden spoon right now in the West at 26. So, red light, yellow light, green light. It's that time where we sit here and we go through the brain of Niko Moreno and find out who's hot, who's not, who might be, and who might be turning cold. Who might be that week-old sandwich that you're sitting there and you're staring at in the fridge going, do I want that sandwich for lunch? If I reheat it, maybe, do something to it. It's going to be cool and have that for lunch. All right. What direction do you want to start with this week, my friend?
Let's go ahead and go with the red light because it kind of goes to what we were just talking about, and it's Adrian Heath and the Minnesota United squad that just had a dud against LAFC, but they've been trending in the wrong direction. I was actually surprised to see that they've only won 2 games since August. They haven't won in like their last 8 or 7. This is a team that offensively has quality. They should be playing better. And at the end of the day, they just don't coexist enough to make everybody better. I think that Pookie, as much as he was great when he first started, has had a lot of games where he could put, I don't know, maybe at least 4 or 5 chances, 3 or 5 chances, but he's putting 1 out of 5 chances in the back of the net. That's what you're getting paid for. That's what you were brought in. You were supposed to be that guy. Same goes for Bangi. Dang it.
Longwane.
Yes, exactly. Same goes for a player that kind of came on strong. And they've had quite a few of these guys. You go back to Garcia and, players that just seem to have small moments of success, but then it goes away. So that goes back to me in terms of coaching to consistency. So because of this 5-1 loss, because they did themselves a terrible disservice, because when you are where you are in the standings, if you're Minnesota United, there's ways to win and there's even ways to lose. Giving up 5 goals and killing your goal differential and your confidence and everything just puts you in the red category to the point where you might not be able to come back, to the point where you're allowing Austin to get on top of you, which is crazy to me that Austin is where they are right now. So again, red spot, Minnesota, because of the coaching, the inconsistency, and the inability to win important games.
All right, so then that means yellow light goes once again in which direction? It can be a team trending red or it could be a team trending green. Where are you going?
Yeah, there's a lot of yellow teams right now, but I want to do focus on one that is above the line, that has been a problem, that has been an excellent road team. And I'm talking about the Vancouver Whitecaps. I think Sartini has done a fantastic job at providing his players with a system that works for everyone, that allows them to be creative at times, that allow them to be instinctive, and that's worked really well for Gold and for Brian White. Both of these players are on a mission. They are clicked on. They are connected. I think that beating St. Louis the way they did, and not even allowing them to go back to their fundamentals. Could we talk about maybe St. Louis didn't have a good game? Absolutely. But Vancouver, even though it's not if you look at the game for 90 minutes, it's not necessarily a 3-0 type of game, but the fact that they were able to exploit and be opportunistic and get those goals talks well about this Vancouver team that seems to have a whole lot of confidence. So when it comes to this system, when it comes to having key players, like Larea yesterday was fantastic all game long. We just talked about the attacking side, and then you gotta have a guy like Kubas that's give you so much balance in the midfield. I think this team is going to be very difficult, and therefore this game against the Seattle Sounders is going to have a playoff feel. And we talked about momentum. Both of these teams have the ability to use that game to catapult you either trending upward or downward. So it's a big game here at Lumen Field on Saturday.
All right, so then that means green light, and what we always say is that you can always repeat a team, but you've got to come up with a different reason. I don't know if you're repeating a team, but I just want to make sure that folks know the ground rules when it comes to any kind of a team that we have in this competition. Who is it this week?
We can talk about LAFC and the 5-0 win and Boanga 17 goals, getting that hat trick, yada, yada, yada. But I want to focus on a team that I believe is showing that maybe they can be a problem in the playoffs in what is the best of two conferences in the East. So I'm going to go with Orlando City. I had them in the between yellow and green all season long. They've had issues. They've had inconsistencies. But over the last 10 games, they've only lost one, I believe. They have shown you that they can win games in various ways. They can be extremely pragmatic. They can disturb you in the midfield. They got a guy like Wilder Cartagena that's willing to maybe leave you a little present for the next day, a little shoulder that comes in. A guy like Araujo that's on 90 minutes. They got the speed of Angulo on the side. Facundo Torres is a player that I think has been playing below his talent at times, and he's so sporadic with having really good games, right? And I think that his leadership has really come on strong in the last couple of games. He's been a finisher. He's been a guy that has the quality to score goals, but at times doesn't get to the 18 enough. But they've done that recently. They've gotten numbers forward. So I thought that the Nashville game, again, wasn't brilliant, but Nashville's a good team no matter what, no matter how they're playing. I know Sam has kind of gotten cold after us maybe thinking he was going to be the game changer for this team. And obviously Mukhtar has a whole lot of responsibility and all this. But that's a good Nashville team. And that 1-0 win felt, again, like a playoff game. It had that atmosphere. It is away at a Nashville stadium that has been in the past their stronghold. So I think Oscar Pereja, what he's done this season and where the players are right now, put them at a green, and I don't expect that to go away. I think they're going to come into this playoffs at a certain pace, and they're going to be hard to stop.
All right, so now that means that we got to look at the matchups coming up this weekend, and we do so with juice boxes. And if there's any kind, we always kind of play cliffhanger here. And if there's a matchup that Niko says, I want to talk about that one, or if there's a juice box or a total or anything that impacts his brain coming into this weekend, this is when Niko yells, stop, and we talk about it. All right, Crew and Atlanta United. Atlanta United favored at a plus 114. Crew come in 3-8-4 on the road at a plus 200. What do you think about this one?
Plus 200 for Columbus?
Yeah, for Crew to win. Your draw's a plus 284.
Oh man, you know what? I honestly wanted to focus just on the over under in this one, but those are really good odds for Columbus. And look, I'm stay on Atlanta, but those numbers would be I'd be willing to put a little bit of juice boxes on that. But the over under is what I'm focused on this one. I think both teams have shown that they have goals for days. Columbus has one way to play, and that's being offensive, that's being an attacking-minded team. I think Rossi's been fantastic. Cucho Hernandez, who we had the pleasure to talk to at Soccer Bar in Pulso, and he's such a quality guy. And he talked great about all his players in this new system in Columbus that just fits Christian, fits Rossi, fits him. So this is a big game. Um, I'm not ready to take Columbus though. I'll take the over under on this one, which is what.
Well, 3.5 is where it flips, so to plus 138. 4.5 is plus 282.
Give me the +4.
Okay,
the +4 at 282. I think this is anybody's game. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus win, and I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta wins at home. So because of that, I'm going to just stick to the where the money's at, and I think that +4 is going to be easily taken in this one.
+4 is a plus 217. So Niko's going with the plus number there. Also on the board, Montreal hosting Timbers, DC's hosting NYC, Messi and Friends hosting FC Cincinnati, Red Bulls hosting Toronto, Revs and Orlando City. The purple team is a minus 133 at home. The Revs on the road a plus 319.
Yeah, I don't like any of those numbers, to be quite honest. What's the numbers in Cincinnati, Miami? That can be.
Miami is a plus 102. Cincinnati a plus 233 after rotating their squad last night. Draws a plus 278.
Oh, I'm taking Cincinnati. I don't see Messi playing in this one. They put him on ice. There's no real reason, if you look at the standings right now, to think that you're going to be able to do much. The fact that they were hit by the punching bag that Chicago was kind of hard to see. They really just did not come to play. They were flat. They let Shaqiri do things that he hasn't done since he got here. So it was just honestly a bad game for Inter Miami. I don't see Tata risking him on this one. So Cincinnati's an easy pick on that one, if you ask me. I have no doubt in my mind that Noonan, after kind of, I don't want to say disappointing people, but that Red Bull games was not great. I'm sure he didn't want that. As much as you want to rest players and you want to make sure that they're healthy for the playoffs, as he mentioned during the post-conference after winning the Shield, I think that Cincinnati is going to come in rotating in all cylinders for this one, and they'll get that win in Miami.
Other 7:30 matchup, Philadelphia on the quick turns hosting Nashville at a minus 137. Nashville on the road is a plus 350.
Oh, give me a draw on that one. I have draw written.
Plus 290 on your draw.
Oh yeah, that's got draw written all over it, man. And look, we just talked about the Philadelphia Union, and yes, they can get going real quick. And I love what Bueno's done all season, and Uri's finally looking like a guy that could be a game changer up top. And I love the big three talk with Carranza and Gustav and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that this Philadelphia team still very, very shaky, and it can be moved. And in that midfield, that Nashville can make it really uncomfortable. That has draw written all over it.
All right. October camp rosters out for the U.S. men's national team. Aronson, Balogun, Johnny, CCV, Luca De La Torre, Dest, Horvath, DeJuan Jones, Christopher Lund getting another call-up, Leonard Maloney getting a call-up. That's interesting. McKinney Musa, Kevin Paredes, Ricardo Pepi, Pulisic, Ream, Reyna, Chris Richards, Miles Robinson, Joe Scally, Malik Tillman, Matt Turner, and Tim Weah. That is your roster that has just been released 3 minutes ago for the October friendlies. Also, now on the board, wrapping up 8:30s, Austin hosting LAFC. That one is even across the board. Fire hosting Charlotte. Dallas might get a chance to play at home with San Jose. Houston hosting Colorado. Minnesota hosting LAG. RSL hosting Sporting Kansas City. Seattle and Vancouver. Cascadia, what's on that one for you?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a real good one. I'm guessing that Seattle is negative by how much?
Actually, they're a plus 102. So right now you'd be getting $2 on
Ooh.
Seattle. Vancouver's a plus 239. Your draw's a plus 273.
Wow, man, that's an interesting one. I know that probably fans don't want to hear draw, but that probably be the best bet if you really look at this game in general senses. Raul Ruidiaz is still hospitalized because of back pain. I look. I'm not saying that I don't love Jordan Morris as a 9, but there's things that he does good and there's things that he doesn't. He's great going and getting the ball and playing behind the center backs. And I don't think Vancouver gives you a lot of that. And I don't think LAG gave you much of that. They gave you that for a little bit, but they didn't allow you to do that. So what does that have? What does that make Jordan do? Have to go back and do a lot of link play. A lot of link play is not something that he does great. And when Leo Chu is not completely on, then you kind of miss Jordan Morris getting forward. You don't have that guy stretching the defense on the left side. So I think they're going to have to start again with Jordan Morris at the 9. And I think Vancouver is going to sit nice and pretty and work off of some counters and allow their play to put the pressure on Seattle, the home team. And so I think this could be a very easy draw for a Seattle team that probably needs a win. And if you're a Seattle Sounders fan, you probably want to win, and you want to win a consistent win. You probably want to play better than you want the result because, again, you don't want another sloppy performance from Seattle. But I think this has draw written all over it as well.
You mentioned Cucho and Pulso Sports and Soccer Bar. What else is going on at Pulso Sports and Soccer Bar?
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, check that out. That Cucho exclusive was phenomenal. He talked about his desire to play for the Colombian national team, and although he wants to play, that's not the only thing on his mind. He loves MLS, love what the growth has been overall. We also talked to Diego Fagundes yesterday. So actually, in about 45 minutes at Soccer Bar, we're going to give you a preview of that interview with Diego Fagundes, talking about getting out of Austin as well. That was interesting that we talked to him about that and what it's been and how easy it's been to fit into this Greg Vanney scheme and the LA Galaxy that he believes is a lot like what he used to play in Austin. So that's a really good interview, Diego Fagundes. So check it out, Pulso Sports and Soccer Bar as well. And obviously on Friday, we'll be at the training ground with the Seattle Sounders, getting ready for this Cascadia rivalry, a big, huge game for both of these clubs. So we'll try to talk to as many people as possible. And there's also something that's coming up that might maybe not surprise everybody, but we might have a really good exclusive coming up here in about a week.
Oh, exclusive. He mentions the E word, drops the E word on here. As always, speaking of E, at El Rolo NW, our friend Niko Moreno coming in for Thursdays with Niko. Niko, since you are the last element of the show, and since you are here with us, I will let you have the honors and send us home for a Thursday as we come back here at 9:05 tomorrow morning. Let me tease what's going on. Darren Van Tassel, owner of South Georgia Tormenta, they have their home regular season finale as they're chasing the USL League One playoff spot. Beyond Goals Mentoring at 9:30. We can whip around at 10. Chaos on a Friday. Niko, send us home.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend because I won't see you guys. Make sure that you guys are following and subscribing always to SDH, the #1 best. My guy, John, hardest working man in the East Coast, man, maybe the whole nation. So I appreciate it. Also, if you want, give Pulso Sports Soccer Bar a follow. Check it out. You want your Spanish content? We got it. Mondays and Thursdays, all right? Make sure that you're following that. 9 a.m. Pacific time. What is that Eastern time, John?
High noon, brother.
There you go. So there you have it. Everybody have a good day. Have a good weekend.
Play it safe, everybody. It's the end of the show. That means we get to do this back 9:05 tomorrow morning.